Yeah, no, just yeah, no, hell no. I would words cannot describe how bad of an idea that would be. For those of you who don't know, Neil Druckman came out on Twitter. He was asked if there was any established IPs he had his eyes on, and he said five, and three of them came to mind: Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Cowboy Bebop. The other two I really don't give a shit about. One of them was Half-Life, and I think the other one was Miami something. But those two I don't care about because I've never played them or watched them or whatever. But yeah, this Neil Cuckman should be let nowhere near the Punisher or the Ghost Rider or Cowboy Bebop. For God's sakes, Netflix is already doing their damnedest to bastardize Cowboy Bebop. Why let Neil Cuckman have his turn at it? Then again, it's a question of who can do it worse. My money's on Cuckman, given what he did to The Last of Us. And for the record, I did not like The Last of Us Part 1. Part 2, I have not played. My sister's going to play it at some point. God help her when she plays it, because it's probably going to piss her off, or she's just going to play it and be okay with it. Hard to say which. But yeah, I did not like the first one. I thought it was overrated schlop, but then again, that's me. I have shitty taste sometimes. But imagine the damage he would do to the Punisher or Ghost Rider or the Cowboy Bebop crew if he got his hands on them and he was just told he could do whatever he wanted. He would bastardize that harder than he did Joel, or give him an unceremonious death, probably. Just thinking about it pisses me off. And I like the Ghost Rider and the Punisher, to be quite honest. They are both good comics, characters. I liked the Nick Cage movie. I'm probably in a minority there. And I'm probably going to get shit for it, but I don't care. I liked the Ghost Rider 1 movie. I never saw the second one, but it looks, okay. I've read the plot to it. Sounds great, actually. And the Punisher, I've seen the first movie with Thomas Jane. It was good. I saw the John Bernthal Season 1 Punisher. I liked him in that and in the Daredevil Season 2. I thought he did a really great job as the Punisher. For the most part, it didn't feel like the Punisher, though. It felt like a guy transitioning into the Punisher. And that was the only gripe I had with the show, was you saw a guy transitioning from a former soldier to the Punisher. So that was my only gripe, because I thought they already went through that in Daredevil Season 2, where you saw the transition from him going from that to being this hard, tough-ass anti-hero in the Punisher, Frank Castle. I thought they did that well, and they could just continue, but no, they had to continue the transition, I guess. But anyway, and I like both these characters, and I like Cowboy Bebop. Mainly the theme song, especially that opening. It's perfecto, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, he said this on Twitter after being asked that he would like to work on one of these five, and all I can say to that is hell no. God no. For the love of all that is decent in the world, do not let this guy get his hands on those characters, because he will bastardize them. He will ruin them harder than, how hipsters and mimes ruin scarves. Oh, that and how hipsters ruin movies, but that's about it. That's about the only comparison I can make. And Cuckman is like a bona fide hipster, in my opinion. Like, he looks the part. And he likes to destroy everything that's good in the world. Like, anything that people enjoy, he wants to ruin. That's my opinion of the man. If you don't believe me, look no further than Uncharted 4 and how he more or less may have had a hand in Amy Hennig being given the boot. Or quitting. Which sucks, because she was a good game designer, or she was good in producing games that had good quality. For example, see the other Uncharted games, they were great. But Uncharted 4 wasn't bad. I liked it, but some fell off about it. It didn't feel like a complete one. And Cuckman changed some stuff. Like, originally I think it was supposed to be Drake and Elena had a boy, but they had a girl instead. And then Nadine was made unstoppable because he wanted her to be. Or something like that. It's been years since I heard that news, but this guy is more about injecting politics or gender politics into stuff, and that's what I get from this. That's what his stuff comes off as to me. It's about, yes, Queen Slay, and all that crap. And I heard this news, actually I heard it the day before Yellow Flash did a video on it, but I had homework to do, so I couldn't do it yesterday. And now I just wanted to put my thoughts on it, and my answer is quite simple. Hell no. Hell nah to the nah. hell to the nah, hell to the nah, and all that. Like a lot of hell nahs, basically. I would not trust this guy to. Like, I wouldn't trust him to wipe my ass, let alone make a good game. So why would I trust him with two comic book characters I happen to love and are interested in reading more comics of? Or an anime that, well, I don't love, but I think is pretty good. And then there's Half-Life. I mean, I don't love it, but I know other people love it, and I would hate to see them have it ruined for them as well. And the same with the Miami one. I may not care about it, but it would suck to see them have this thing they love being ruined. And just imagine for the second what he would do to these characters. This is something I had to think about after I finished, but one thing I think would happen, he would probably try to feminize the Punisher, or make him like a cuck or a beta male. Do to him basically what they did to Blade that one time in comics, where they made him kind of like a passive-aggressive beta male and ruined him. And I think they would do the same thing if they could to the Punisher. And Ghost Rider, I don't know what they would do to him, and I can't really guess, but I can think of a few things that, well, no, I can't even think of how they'd ruin him. They would just look for a way to ruin him completely, and it would piss me off. Because I like the Ghost Rider. I like the idea of the Ghost Rider. And that goes for most of them. I like the Robbie Reyes one. I like the Johnny Blaze one. I like the Danny Ketch one. Even though I've only seen little bits of Danny Ketch. But I like his version of the Ghost Rider as well. Or, like, his part of the Ghost Rider universe or whatever. But I really wouldn't know how he would bastardize it. He would find a way. Like they say, life finds a way. And hipsters always find a way to ruin stuff that people love. You know, like take Death Wish. I think Razorfist actually made this point once, where he was saying how he hated hipsters because they said no one ruins movies like hipsters do. He's like, you see, Razorfist, Death Wish isn't actually an action film. It's an unintentional comedy about the about the someone Thatcher era and the Patriot, whatever. I can't remember exactly. It's been a couple months since I've seen it last. But that's how hipsters are. They have to overanalyze things, inject stuff where it doesn't exist, and just ruin the fun for everyone. I mean, for God's sake, when they were making The Last of Us Part 2, he actually said, and I'm not even quite, I'm paraphrasing, but we don't use the word fun. So he actively went out of his way to make the game as less fun as possible. He went out of his way to make it a slog for people. Which that is the worst thing you can do to a game, in my opinion. A game should be fun. For as many problems as some games I've played have, at least I could say I enjoyed it to an extent because of the gameplay. Take Cyberpunk, for example. It is glitchy as hell. But I still have fun shooting, driving around, doing the missions, and seeing what happens in the story and interacting with Keanu Reeves' character. Another example would be Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I still say it is a shitty Assassin's Creed game and it's schlock, but it's fun. Also, Assassin's Creed really let itself go a long time ago. They should have either ended it or not let the original direct creative person not let it go. But yeah, despite the problems I have with the story and its connection to the overall arcs of the story, I still like it. It's fun. It's, as I put in one video, it's fun schlock. Or it's the good kind of schlock. So whatever problem these two games had, I can at least say it was fun and it had playability. Neil Druckman went out of his way to make The Last of Us Part 2 as unfun as possible. And there's some other stuff that can be said about it that I've heard, but I don't remember exactly all of it, and I don't know how valid the accusation is, but yeah, this is a guy who goes out of his way to make games miserable for people. Kind of like, actually I have no one to compare him to. The only other person I can compare him to is Anita Sarkeesian. He actually is a fan of hers that probably should have been a warning bell for some people. And that is all my thoughts on it. It's just, this guy will ruin it if he can, because he, like, I think these people get off on ruining things that people love. Like, I swear there's a good joke about, like, everything I love dies, is something, It's a Gundam once said. Well, this guy, everything you love, Neil Druckman will kill and ruin for you. And that is my final thought on it. And all I can really say is, yeah, I feel sorry for people who enjoy these IPs, because I can kind of see Marvel letting him do this. Because they do not care who works on their comics, so I doubt they care who works on their games. For God's sake, they hire people who make horrible comics and say if you don't like it, don't buy it, instead of trying to improve the comic in the future. So I can see this happening, just like I can see Marvel trying to retire the Punisher because some twat Gonk, and a twat on Twitter says they should retire him because some guy at the Capitol Hill had the Punisher logo on his person. Because they seem to be willing to kowtow and placate Twitter mobs, so seems possible. But yeah, those are my final thought. That is my final thought now, I hope. Hopefully I haven't been rambling too much, but yeah, those are just all I could really think to say on the matter, and that's also some stuff I've been hearing. Well, I think the Yellow Flash said something similar, so I thought I would just inject that as well, and whatever thoughts I could have, but yeah, just have a nice day. I just wanted to go over this real quick before I forget. I'm currently working on a music recommendation for I think it's a metal band, although they kind of have different genres. They've also done one song that's more punk than metal, which is probably my favorite song they've made. It's about the Red Baron. I'll probably reference that in the video, but I'm working on that. And I'm still trying to get around to doing a Lobo video, or The Last Zarnian. And yeah, just enjoy life, I guess. Enjoy it the best you can, because for God's sake, there are people, not for God's sake, you know what, I'm leaving God out of it. For the love of all that is holy, or whatever you cherish, there are people out there who get off on ruining things you love, so you might as well enjoy them while you can. So yeah, that's all for now, and remember the game was rigged from the start. And to quote Weaponized Nerd Rage, or what he used to use at the end of his videos, pray for sanity, because we really need some right now.